Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys are fans of the content being posted onto this channel to always be in the loop with more content similar to this, and be sure to hit the video up with a like if you're enjoying the content. And with that being said, let's begin. So with Scream 5 looming over the horizon, scheduled to be released in January of 2022, many fans within the horror and Scream community are seemingly begging the question and asking themselves as to what exactly can happen in this upcoming movie that's going to make it that much more different by comparison to Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream 4. Among many of the theories and ideas proposed, there was actually one that was featured on Reddit and several forums discussing the idea of the next Ghostface or Ghostfaces having to be a person or persons that we never saw coming and becoming the killers, and those persons being none other than Sidney's mom and Sidney's dad, which I think is a little too far-fetched. But joining me right now to further discuss the concept idea of Sidney's mother and father perhaps becoming the killers is my good friend and YouTuber Mark and I. Now Mark, this is such a crazy theory. So many people have been suggesting the idea of Sidney's mother having to be alive. She went through this downward spiral of just mental trauma and becoming the killer after some time, and someone actually pointed out something very interesting, and that was you tend to see a lot of people after Scream 3 kind of become the killer within the family. You had her half-brother, you had her cousin, so is it within the realm of possibility that we might see another family member? Of course. But is it going to be her mom, who had been confirmed to be dead for quite some time now? Absolutely not. Is it her father, who was originally going to be framed in Scream 1? I don't think that's going to be the case, but I want to tackle this theory killer in asking you, do you think that if they were to include this kind of a concept to where out of nowhere her own mother was somehow still alive and she was after her own daughter, maybe because she was jealous of all the popularity Sidney was getting? I think it doesn't work. I think that this next Ghostface or Ghostfaces should be people or a person that we've never seen before. Could it be Stu? Is Stu somehow alive? Of course, I think anything is possible, but what are your overall thoughts on the idea of bringing back her mother and father and having them be the next Ghostface?
No, I think it would be a terrible idea. And again, this is purely from an opinion standpoint. So naturally, like, I want to emphasize, like, this is just where I'm coming from. This is just kind of how I feel about it, you know? So, like, there's going to be people that disagree. People are going to want to see what they want to see. But I think for me, in a franchise that has sort of not necessarily jumped the shark yet, I don't think it has. I feel like other franchises have shown that. I think we're in a good place with Halloween because they're redoing everything because it jumped the shark many times. Friday the 13th jumped the shark many times. We still haven't gotten to something like real solid recently. Nightmare on Elm Street has jumped the shark many times with some crazy plots and lore that just doesn't really resonate. Scream is the only one that remains grounded. Granted, I've said this before, and it's because there's no supernatural elements to Scream. And I think that's what makes it super duper appealing. And what makes it even scarier is that theoretically, this could actually happen. Like, this could really happen. So when I think about that sort of aspect of it, like, okay, you've got the half-brother, you've got the cousin, you've got the boyfriend. Like, how many people in the world hate Sidney Prescott? Like, she's not a bad person. She's done nothing wrong. She's just existing, trying to live her life. And now you're going to tell me it's the parents? I'd be like, come on. I think it's possible that they could do that. Like, it's possible. Okay. I emphasize it's possible because we don't have the answer. So anything is possible. But I think a redundant is definitely like a good strong word for that. We've seen this before. Like, I don't think anyone in the theater is going to be like, oh my God, it's the parents. It would be like, oh my God, is this the parents? Like, that would be what I would say. I think it would be interesting to have Sidney's mom be alive. I think that has a certain aspect to it, which would be intriguing. I think having her be the killer would be dumb. I think that it could only be made sense if they were like, she survived somehow and she's been tortured and she's gone nuts and insane. Like, they have to use a lot of plot band-aids to try and like make that work. And I don't want that to be the case. I don't want it to be relative. I don't want it to be like something that we've seen before. It needs to be fresh and it needs to feel different. So no, I don't think it would be a wise decision to go the parent route. I think it would leave a lot of fans being like, okay, we've seen it before. What a waste of a 10-year hiatus between movies. That's just my personal non-professional opinion.
I definitely agree. I don't think that they should do a concept idea to where her mother was alive or it's her father, but is it possible that Sidney probably has other siblings that she doesn't know about, right? And I'm taking this concept from Scream 3, when she had this brother that she didn't even know about, even though a lot of people universally don't like Scream 3. I just think that when looking at it so far, it seems to tie in with the family, right? You had Billy, who took her virginity and was her boyfriend in Scream 1. We had Stu, who had no relation to Sidney. We had, Billy's mom, and of course several other people after, but I just think that from the way it looks, we could get another family tie-in, even though I don't think that should be the overall narrative going forward. What are your thoughts on Sidney perhaps having other family members that, want her dead? Because if you look at the main idea behind this film, Sidney's coming back to Woodsboro, right? But for whatever reason, why? We don't know. What is the overall incentive as to why they want her dead? We don't know. I think that if it ties back in to the whole situation with her mom, it's only going to be that much more convoluted. We've seen that go down 20 years ago. I don't think it's needed anymore. I think that it should definitely be someone that we've never seen before, but what are your thoughts on the idea of her having additional family that she doesn't even know about that want her dead?
I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily to go into family territory as a general plot element. Do I think that the plot element should be reserved for, oh my god, like your mom was such a hoe that she slept around with like a dozen people around town and had kids all over the place and now they're coming for revenge? Like, that was done once. It was interesting. I don't know how satisfied I was with that, personally, but I accepted it and it didn't bother me. I just wasn't like, okay, like I'm so blown away by this amazing plot aspect. It was more so like, okay, sure, like fine, we can move on. Like I understand what Scream is doing. I understand what sort of franchise it is. I get it. If you were going to tell me that you were going to wait like X amount of, well, it'd be even longer because that was like Scream 3 was a sibling and then Scream 4 was the cousin and then you're going to go back to another sibling we didn't have. No, for you to wait, like when I say you, I mean the studios, right? So for you to take a franchise like Scream and wait a decade to try and deliver something, if you were telling me that you've had 10 years or however long it is, like a little over 10 years, whatever, to deliver a new Scream movie and you're just going to rehash the plot again, then I'm going to be irritated. I think you can get away with that in a world like Star Wars, maybe, where people are super mad about how that whole franchise went. But the one that was a shot-for-shot remake of Episode 4 was acceptable. But I don't think you could get away with that in a horror movie, because in horror as a whole, and I think again with Scream, which I just want to emphasize how it stands out above all the other more popular slasher movies, is the whodunit aspect, or who is doing it. Like, who is it? What's going on? Like, what's their motivation? Why are they doing this? Who's under the hood? Is it one person? Is it two people? Are they going to go a crazy route and make it more than two people? Like, what can they do here? And then that makes it super intriguing. But if you're going to tell me some point in the movie they're just going to, like, Scooby-Doo pull the mask off and it's someone we've never seen before in the past 5 movies, or 4 movies rather, and then it's going to be a sibling we've never heard of that's just been looming in the shadows, I'd be like, that's dumb. I'm checked out of this. I wouldn't recommend that movie to anyone. So I hope they don't do that. I mean, again, we've seen these days that movie theater studios, regardless of the genre, really just want to do what looks good on paper. They take in some polling data, they extrapolate some Excel spreadsheet formulas or whatever, they throw it all together on a whiteboard, they take notes, they print it off on a Xerox, and they're like, this is what's going to drive people to the theater, this is what's going to sell tickets, and this is what's going to get us a ton of money at the box office for this movie. So yeah, I can see where some executives are crunching the numbers and maybe they find that this to be like, hey, remember when Scream 3 did real well because we had the brother? Maybe we can mix it up by having it being another brother or a sister. I can see that happening. So there is possibility that that's the direction they could go, but God, I hope not, because we've seen it, and I know that if they try to copy it, it's going to be poorly received across the board. It just won't be good, so I don't want them to do that. Now, on the other side of it, I would like it to be someone that maybe we were super duper close with. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I think it would be fantastic if, like, it was someone that was super close to Sid, like, all these years, and that's what happened. Is they either went crazy or maybe this person was the one feeding information to the other killers. Like, I think it'd be kind of fun. But at the same time, you also got to remember there's the plot armor that protects characters and like their actual integrity. So like you couldn't say Gale is the killer necessarily. I would be kind of interested by someone trying to come up with a creative way to make that happen, but people would be mad because Gale and Dewey are good characters. And we've not seen any sort of motivation from them to turn on Sid for whatever reason. And you can't just make them bad for the sake of an interesting plot element. It doesn't bother me so much, but I know that you can't do that to the masses because they'll get angry. Because basically you're saying is, oh, if you invested in these characters for 4 movies, let's make them bad just to be different in the 5th one to subvert expectations. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be bothered by that personally, but I also know that is I'm in the unpopular minority on that, like a minority of a minority group in that sense. So I don't know. I don't want it to be someone randomly off the streets that just happens to be of the same bloodline. I'd rather it be someone that's close to her. But that being said, I am far more interested in the possibility of Stu being alive somehow and him like orchestrating some massive puppeteering Saw-like aspect where he's just like this crazy architect of her suffering. I think that would be far more interesting.
You see, I think that varies based on how they do it. I think that it is possible for them to kind of write in a good story by introducing someone that we've never seen before, but I think only if done right, because you can't just throw in some rando and just say, well, I want you dead because of these reasons. I think that it has to tie a little deeper, but I think it's too much of a coincidence if it were to be family again, because here we go again, you know, Scream 4, Scream 3. So what do you think, in your opinion, is the absolute worst case scenario for Scream 5? Like, when you look at this overall movie, this is something to where you're like, all right, no, this is not going to work in our favor only because it'll make the movie that much more worse.
I think to say what you don't want to happen, you also have to look at what you want to happen, because you can basically say more than one thing in each statement. Like, for example, like, if I said that I didn't want it to be the father, that would suggest that I would want it to be something else, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure that there is the possibility of some sort of creative way of having the dad do it, but I just don't buy it. I don't think that I've necessarily been convinced that the dad is operating in the shadows all this time and then all of a sudden like he wants to kill her. Like, I don't see it. Especially since what it looks like is time in between the Scream movies is also pretty much the exact same time that's passing in between the events of a new killer showing their Ghostface and trying to kill Sid. So what is he waiting for? Like, what can you, from a writing perspective, possibly come up with to make sense logically to wait 30 years or however long it's been, like over the course of the entire Scream franchise to present, like with considering 5 coming out? Like, what is the reason for not showing your face? Like, you might as well just hire an assassin with a sniper rifle from across the street and just shoot her when she's like, you know, in her bedroom or something, brushing her hair. Like, it just makes more sense to get it over with rather than do the ghost thing. Like, Ghostface is iconic, but if you really want Sid to be dead, why play all these games? What is the point? She's been tortured so much. And I feel like if you are going to continue on after 10 years between 4 and 5 to continue that torture, you're making it personal. So what did Sid do to somebody? And so far, I haven't really been convinced that anyone has had a good reason to kill Sid. Not that people have a good reason to kill people, but like a good enough reason for the plot to drive forward is what I mean. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see anything like that making sense to me. I think that I think that they shouldn't do a parent. I think maybe someone smarter than me could figure it out and do it right. But personally, for my own entertainment sake, I don't think there's anything they could come up with to surprise us with a father or a mother even that I would be personally satisfied. I might walk away being indifferent, but I don't want to walk away being indifferent. I want to walk away with my heart pounding, being like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what happened. That's what I want to see. So I don't want it to be a relative. I think we've done that enough. I think that's fine. And I also want to say too, I think that previously with her cousin in movie 4, like trying to kill her, like she also had very different motivations. She was just jealous about the attention and the fame. That's all. And that wasn't even like Sid's fault. Sid was just a byproduct of torture. It's not, and slaughter. It's not something that she chose. It's not something that she earned, aside from living, I guess. Like, she survived. And so, yeah, I guess you earn, you know, whatever comes with survival. But it's not like she wanted all that. So I don't know if even that makes sense. You know, you give some crazy reason to a crazy young relative. It's like, okay, you've kind of exhausted all the things that you can do to really support why the family's trying to kill her. It just doesn't make sense. Now, why Sid doesn't just pack up and, like, I don't know, move to Indonesia or someplace to get away from it all, I don't know. Like, it seems crazy that she would just stick around with all that. I do think that okay, so if I'm answering the question directly how you asked, I don't want Gale and or Dewey to survive. And so by that I mean I want one of them to die, because again, if you really want to leave moviegoers with a sense of like, oh my God, like I can't believe that happened, which is what you want, right? Like, you want to sell money, but you want to sell money off of something that's good. I don't want to pull a fast one and be like, okay, this movie sucks and I know it sucks, but it screams, so it's going to sell tickets, because then people lose faith in the franchise. I would like them to make a good movie that makes me go to the theater and walk away with my breath being like completely stripped from my body, to where I'm looking forward to number 6. If the movie sucks or doesn't meet my expectations, well, I'm far less likely to go and see in the theater, which is really what they want. So that being said, I think it's also important to remove key characters. Sid and Gale have lived in peace long enough, and how they have survived, I don't know. I mean, they're competent, but not any more competent than a lot of characters that have gotten killed, save for the fact that, you know, they were just, other characters were killed off. So I wanna feel that. I wanna see a fond farewell to these characters, because eventually they're gonna be too old to play these roles. What are you gonna do? You're just gonna have, you know, some guy running through a geriatric center, like trying to stab, you know, these old survivors, like in a wheelchair. Like, you just can't do it. So they're gonna have to reboot it eventually. So before they reboot it, you have to properly say goodbye to these characters by killing them off. And usually that comes in the form of self-sacrifice for good characters. So I don't want to see them survive. I don't want to see them killed in a crappy, you know, quick way. It needs to have meaning, and I need to feel it.
And to be honest, I don't think you're gonna feel that with her mom being a thing if she were to be brought back to life, or just some grandiose plan to where she reveals, hey, I'm not dead, I've been alive this whole time. That would be dumb. And to have her father do the same thing, that would be dumb. But I definitely think that it should be someone new. And I've said this before, I think that someone on the main cast should be written off, whether that be Dewey or Gale or Sidney. That really does vary, like you said. So again, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and thank you all so much for watching. If of course you guys are new to the channel and love these discussions, as well as being a horror fan, then I do encourage you guys to smash that subscribe button and give this video a big fat thumbs up by slapping that like button down below. Also, follow and check out and subscribe to Mark9's channel. I will leave his link located down below as well. Thank you all once more, and we'll be seeing you all in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Peace.